So guys, once again, if you can, please subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button on this video. So guys, this next story is going to put into perspective the dangers of using nitrous oxide whilst driving. So a couple of weeks back, I was in Manchester on a particular road, and every single fucker out there who was driving a Golf R or an RS3 was sucking balloons. Honestly guys, I'm not blagging it. Any other car driving past, it was all cool. Golf Rs, RS3s, mans and the girls were sucking on these balloons like they're auditioning for Fate Taxi. It was ridiculous. And the crazy thing is that they actually thought they're cool doing this. And the other week there was a video doing the rounds on social media on the tracks over in Birmingham. Some kid again using an Audi, and he's going round a roundabout, loses control and smacks into the back of a Golf. And in that video, he tells the lad who's crashed into the back seat, he goes, "Sorry bro, I was high on balloons." But this next story hopefully will put the message out there that don't do these balloons, and especially don't do balloons and drive. So there was a mother. She was high on nitrous oxide and she killed a passenger after crashing into a roundabout at speed. Nasrin Saleh, who's 26, was sentenced at Liverpool Crown Court today. On March the 17th, she pleaded guilty to causing the death of Luqman Mahbub by dangerous driving on October the 10th, 2021. The prosecutor, Arthur Gibson, told the court that Nasrin from Wavertree had been on a night out in Manchester on October the 9th, 2021. She had been with two friends who decided to return to Liverpool at around 1:45 in the morning on October the 10th. However, Nasrin remained to spend some time with her friend who was with his sister. Shortly after 2 o'clock in the morning, Nasrin and her friend left to go to a corner shop. As they left the store, a Volkswagen GTI pulled up and it was driven by Mr. Mahbub. The car belonged to his cousin, but he had borrowed it, and the prosecution asserted that the meeting was not by chance and there had been some communication between Nasrin and Mr. Mahbub before his arrival. Nasrin and her friend got into the car and Mr. Mahbub drove them around Manchester city centre as they listened to music. Nasrin's friend said there was no cause for concern for me in relation to his driving. He didn't appear to have been speeding or being under the influence of anything. He presented as sober. They then got on the motorway to return to Liverpool. It was at this point that Nasrin's friend realised that both the driver and the passenger, Nasrin, were using nitrous oxide canisters. He later told police that Nasrin was having loads of these, approximately 2 to 3 boxes, which each contained 15 canisters. Nasrin's friend was dropped off on Upper Stanhope Street at around 4 o'clock and he returned to his own car. Her friend said the Volkswagen then drove off with Mr. Mahbub still behind the wheel. The car then drove away from the city centre and it was seen on CCTV from a Shell garage on Liverpool Road heading outbound. At this point, the car was not seen to have been driven erratically or at excessive speeds. However, at some point, Nasrin swapped into the driver's seat and the car turned around to head towards Liverpool city centre. It's not known when or where the swap took place, as Nasrin answered no comments in a police interview. Shortly before 4:45 in the morning, a witness was driving along East Prescott Road at around 40 miles per hour when he saw the Volkswagen overtake him at high speed, which he estimated to be above 80-90 miles per hour. He saw the car continue at high speed along the road as it approached the roundabout connecting East Prescott Road and Pilch Lane. The car crashed into the roundabout, taking its front end into the air before it rolled onto the side and then on the roof, and then around 10 seconds later, it burst into flames. A nearby dog walker said he heard the car driving quickly before what he described as an almighty noise of a collision. A number of loud bangs followed, which he thought were gunshots. In fact, these were the remaining nitrous oxide canisters exploding in the fire. Further police investigations found CCTV footage from a home on East Prescott Road, around 500 metres from the roundabout, and the Volkswagen was caught on camera doing 103 miles per hour on a 40 mile per hour road. Footage taken from a nearby Aldi CCTV camera showed the car braking around 80 metres from the roundabout. The 103 mile per hour speed would have required 252 metres stopping distance. There was a taxi driver who arrived at the scene as the fire began, and he took the fire extinguisher from his car and ran towards the Volkswagen. He was able to drag Nasrin from the wreckage, but the fire intensified. While the taxi driver was carrying Nasrin away to safety, she said, "We swapped, we were doing balloons, me baby, me friend, Is he still in there? The taxi driver returned to the fire and tried to reach Mr. Mahbub, but he was unresponsive, and the taxi driver was forced to step back due to the strength of the fire and smoke. Merseyside police, fire and ambulance crews arrived at the scene, but nothing could be done to save Mr. Mahbub. Nasrin suffered injuries, a fracture to her lower left leg and ankle, and was taken to ambulance to hospital. Mr. Mahbub's body was recovered after the fire extinguished, and a post-mortem examination found that he suffered catastrophic head and internal injuries, which meant he lost consciousness immediately, resulting in his death. Nasrin did hold a driving license, but neither her or Mr. Mahbub were insured to drive the Volkswagen. Traces of drugs administered for medical purposes and a slight trace of alcohol was found in Nasrin's blood sample. Though she had inhaled nitrous oxide, testing for it's not possible, and the author of the toxicology report noted, however, that the substance can cause euphoria, sedation, confusion and disorientation, dizziness, loss of coordination and hallucinations, with intoxication lasting typically between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. The prosecutor read a statement to the court from Mr. Mahbub's mother. She said, about the day of the crash, she said, our nightmare began. The nightmare we never woke up from. She described her son as the life and soul of all our family events, and she said he had a caring and supporting nature and was the pillar of the community. She said, every day we are searching for normality, and added, I break down completely, pleading for him to come back. In mitigation, Nasrin's solicitor said she fully accepts that it was her actions and her actions alone that resulted in the death of Mr. Mahbub. He added that his client acknowledged that she drove at excessive speeds and that her driving caused a substantial risk of danger to other road users. He pointed to his client's lack of previous convictions and the fact that she is a mother of a 6-year-old and she had shown real sorrow and remorse and had a sincere feeling of guilt. She added that she still struggles to come to terms with the conduct and suffers flashbacks of the crash, which often occur in nightmares, and she has also developed post-traumatic stress disorder. He also described Nasrin as a broken person carrying now, for the rest of her life, a heavy burden of guilt. The judge, David Aubrey KC, said, the victim was such a special person to so many and a good friend of yours. He had his whole life in front of him and many a dream as to the future. All that came to an abrupt end in the early hours of that Sunday morning while members of his close-knit family are anxiously making phone calls, seeking to ascertain his whereabouts. He added, there remains emptiness, a massive hole in his family's hearts. So Nasrin was jailed for 4.5 years. So guys, again, these are the dangers of taking these balloons whilst you're driving. It's just not worth it. Rest in peace, Mr. Mahbub, and my condolences go out to your family. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.